Right, so with 6 days until Christmas, we have another two boys from Arlesey Town. Adam, Captain Fantastic, how we doing?
Very good. Even better now. You call me fantastic, so that's good.
There we go. I can't lie, mate. Can't lie. You're still going. That's the main thing.
It's still going. You still put it up with me.
Well, we love you, mate. We all love you. And we also have Ollie. Ollie, how are you doing?
Yes, all good, mate. Yourself?
Yes, not too bad. Not too bad. Will did call you. Well, I said obviously safe hands to Ryan, and he said he thought he was talking to you anyway. So there we go, Mr. Safe Hands. We'll call you now as well.
What's wrong with that?
Right. So what we will do then is we will go with Randall. Will be the first one to see his question from the wheel. Hopefully we get a good one for him. So I am spinning the wheel now. And Randall, your question is... Oh, what is it? Oh, we've had this one before, but it may be obviously a little bit different to you now. So it's, what is your your favourite footballing moment?
That I've played in.
It can both. We'll go with what you've played in, and obviously as a fan from football, as a kid growing up, maybe what got you into football, something like that.
My favourite footballing moment is probably as a player. We played. It wasn't long ago actually. About 10 years ago, we played in the FA Cup. We played against a team in the league above us who were really good at the time, Hanwell. Very tight game. We played really well. And there was one moment, about probably 5 minutes towards the end, when we had one of the lads, and he still talks about it to this day. So we still got a WhatsApp group. We still got a WhatsApp group going with some of the boys from back then, and he always bangs on about it. I mean, every time FA Cup starts in the league season, he always bangs on about his goal. But it was his goal that's probably that moment, because although he swung at it with his left foot, which is a weaker foot, it went right in the bottom corner, and it's one of those goals which just killed the game. We knew we won. We were up against it. We played against a really good side. They'd been giving it a bit of chitter-chatter, as some senior teams do. And the whole team, the bench, the dugout, everyone went absolutely mental. And it was like second or third qualifying round or something like that. So it earned the club at the time quite a lot of money. So that's one moment where I've been involved with, which sticks out, which still gets talked about to this day. And similar sort of thing, actually. I actually went to the first final at the new Wembley. Okay. So the first final was the Real Boys Chelsea one in the FA Cup.
Right,
so it was the first FA Cup final. But a month or a few weeks before that, there was the FA Trophy final, and Steve moved to playing Kidderminster.
I went to that game.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
Quality. There you go. So there you go. So you know what happened, right?
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone else.
Steve. Oh yeah, I'll shut up.
Yeah, exactly. So 2-0 down. I had a few drinks at half time. I was generally thinking I'm going to go home.
I was going to go. I was literally in the toilet and thinking, no, I'm done. See you later.
And I was like, all this way, first final at New Wembley. Had enough. And anyway, I was still in the bar when Stephen scored the first. I was like, getting back on it. So I went rushing back to my seat. And as you know, it didn't take too long before they scored the second. And then dramatic climax. So Steve Morrison pops up, I think, with the goal. I can't remember what it was, must have the last 5 minutes or so. But that one moment, again, I'll never forget it, because we were at the goal where Stevie scored, so we were quite close to it. So it must have been like row 12 or something like that. So I had a really good seat. And that buzz, going from that, like, wanting to leave at half time to then 45 minutes being like jumping out the seat and going absolutely berserk. First final at Wembley, the new Wembley. For me, that's probably the best.
Yeah,
the best moment I think about.
It's crazy, as I say. I remember the final myself. Again, as I say, was debating whether to go home. We took a aging Steve Guppy off, and then I can't remember the young lad that came on, but I think he scored one and set both of them up. So, mate, that was a nice little trip down memory lane for me. Thank you for that.
There you go, mate. No worries.
Right, so it is now your turn to ask Mr. Safe Hands your question.
Question. Okay. You probably got a better practice than me, Ollie, because you're better looking than me, right? So, if you were going to go into a bar and chat up a woman, right? What would be your chat up line?
Oh, what an
Bloody hell, you
absolute
put me on the spot here.
What would you say?
Oh man, we have to think about this. That's not really my style, you know. I don't really use the old pickup lines.
They come to you, do they, Ollie? They come to you.
That might be easier for you, but I don't know. I kind of just play it cool, really. I don't really need that, to be honest. But what am I gonna say?
Just see his pretty face, and that's it. They're done.
Exactly. Or if you haven't got one into your head, it makes it easy for you. What is the best chat up line that you've heard?
I have heard a few. I think I've got one. Oh my god, you put me right on the spot here. I actually can't think. My mind's gone completely blank. Wow, I've gone completely blank.
Dean, have you got one?
You've done me in. You've done me in.
I mean, there's a few. Obviously, some we probably won't be able to say. But I mean, it's the old when you put your arm out, say, "You want to touch my arm?" And they touch your arm and just say, "Does that feel like boyfriend material to you?"
There we go. That's what I had in mind. That's it. There we go.
I think I was going to say, I think it's the generation. It's the older boys have got the old pickup.
I think I've been out of the game too long.
Too much swiping, mate. It's all swipe left, swipe right now, isn't it? There's no chats.
Not for me. Oh God.
You're still thinking. I love it.
I am. I've gone completely blank.
Right. Let's get back to the question.
Yeah, let's go on to the next one. I'll come back to that later.
Right. Okay then. So as Ollie has fumbled the question there.
You called him safe hands as well.
Yeah, I know. He's dropped it. It's 1-0 now.
I'll stick to the pitch. Yeah.
Right. So we will spin the wheel for Ollie to see what his question is. And Ollie's question will be. Oh, this is an interesting one. So Ollie, who was your idol growing up as a kid? Obviously, as a goalkeeper, it may be a different answer to what an outfield player is.
Mm. You know what? I actually saw this question earlier, and that was the one question I didn't really want because I never really had an idol, if I'm being honest. I never really, you have all the top footballers nowadays, the classics, Messi, Ronaldo's, but never really had someone I looked up to. I mean, if I had to say, I think it's got to be Gabriel Bonno for Villa. Growing up watching him, I'm a Villa boy myself, so I think that's got to be the one.
Ah, fair enough. What made you, what made you be a keeper then? Is there anything that?
Not really. I mean, I used to play outfield. I was a little winger, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
And then, the old classic keeper gets injured. I'll go and goal for a game and never came out, really.
Do you enjoy going to goal?
Yeah, I do. There's always times where you want to come out and have a run. When I used to play 7-a-side, I'd give it my all, to be honest. But, nah, I don't know. I think there's just something about a keeper, the training. Randall, you know what I mean. You was a keeper, weren't you?
In year 4, mate. I was in year 4.
Oh yeah.
And that's I think this is before you were born. I think, Ollie. I think that's generally before you were born. Which, but no, that was. I was the opposite. So I was a goalie as a kid, and then I used to stand around at lunchtimes all the time, and be on the best team. So I came out on field, to switch it around the other way.
I mean, I have played in goal once and got lobbed 4 times it was only a half a game as well. I got lobbed 4 times by the smallest person on the pitch, and I said, no, that's it. Never going to goal again.
Yeah. I actually played in goal last year for Arlesey.
Oh, really?
I got called up. The manager at the time called me up on the way to the game, Harefield away, and said the goalies had to be recalled because back to Burko because their goalie has had a bit of a problem, and Ryan was away, so we had no goalie. So he asked me to go and goal, and we lost 5-0, and it was horrible. So I don't envy Ollie at all. So my respect for goalies has gone up considerably since that game. So it's hard.
There we go. Right, Ollie, what is your question for Mr. Randall?
My question for Randall is, if you could build your ideal player using all of the attributes or any of the attributes from players in our team, what would it be?
Oh, what a question that is.
Well, we'll go from top to bottom, I think. We'll go from a heading aerial prowess perspective. I would probably say Will from a heading point of view.
Got to be Will.
I don't think he loses a header, does he? You've seen him play, Dean.
I mean, they were.
He doesn't really jump very high, but he just hits him. So he doesn't.
Just hits him.
It does. It just comes off his head. So yeah, definitely Will from an aerial perspective. I think technically probably Bruno's the best player technically. He's also got a very good left foot. So yeah, definitely Bruno from a technical perspective. Pace wise, who's the quickest in the team? We haven't got anyone particularly rapid. Maybe S. Although maybe S is probably the quickest. Although Dan Yu will probably be one of will protest that, but probably S from a speed perspective.
Well, I mean, Will did get the quickest with the old tracker.
No, yeah. I mean, those
faulty, are they?
Those stats and those numbers are quite deceiving, aren't they?
He put it on someone else and let him run for him. Bless him.
Yeah, I mean, he was 20 yards out of position, so he didn't have to run. I would say from a dribbling perspective, Reece Crowter.
Yep.
Yeah, he can drift past people like they're not there. So, yeah, in that point of view. Finishing. Who's the best finisher?
Don't say Will. Don't say Will.
It's definitely not Will, and it's definitely not any of our strikers. Have you seen our strikers shoot? I would probably say S from a striking finishing perspective. He takes the penalties, doesn't he? He's got quite composed in that point of view. And then fitness-wise,
it's got to be S as well. S and Dan.
Yeah, S maybe Dan. Dan's quite fit, to be fair. So Dan Yu. I always remember Vinny though. Vinny in pre-season was very good. And he does travel a huge amount of distance in a game, so maybe a toss-up between them two.
He was moaning last night, saying that he does a lot of Reece's running for him, and said that Reece said to him before one of the games, Vinny, all I want you to do is just run for me, mate. Just run. You're my leg. And he goes, the amount of times I run past him, and he never passed it to me. He just crossed it in.
Yeah, but then the one time he does pass it to him, he doesn't cross it. There was one time he gets called out in training. He overlaps and Reece passes it to him. He's like, "You've got to cross it," and Vinny didn't. He cut back or something. So he can't win. Can you bless him?
What would you say about leadership then? I think that's the last thing, obviously, you need in that.
Yeah. So I was going to go from an attitude, but leadership's probably a better one.
You can say yourself, mate. It's fine.
Yeah, well, I would have said myself for everything. Clearly, obviously, I got to build around me. But I would probably say, from a leadership perspective, again, I'll probably say Bruno, just because I think we're in the similar sort of position in respects of we played football a long time, and so he just brings that experience that maybe not a huge amount of lads have. So he's seen situations before, or he understands, what you need to do to win games at this level and levels above. And he very rarely loses, Bruno, he very rarely loses his head. He will talk when he needs to talk, but he's not someone that, kicks and screams and shouts and hollers. So I think that's quite important from a leadership perspective, to have that composure and that ability to communicate, even when it's not going quite so well, which has happened at times.
Wow, fantastic questions, boys, and I'll say to you, Randall, good answers. As Ollie, have you thought of a pickup line?
I have.
You googled one, didn't you? You googled one.
No, I ain't good. Don't worry.
Come on,
It actually goes back, and it's tragic. When we was out in Magaluf, and one of my boys said it to a girl, we've absolutely ribbed him every day since. He goes, "Is your name Shakira? Because those hips don't lie." That's got to be it. We absolutely ribbed him.
Fair enough. Well, there we
And
go.
what was the response?
She walked off.
I think she just ignored him, to be fair.
She walked off, swaying her hips even more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turn around.
Well, there we go, boys. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Have a lovely Christmas.